Hi, everybody. Welcome along to episode 36 of Percussion Discussion. Hope you're all well out there. I can't believe we're at 36 already, but we are. So on we go. Please check out our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, we have our YouTube channel where you will find all of our interviews. If you could please subscribe, I'll be very, very grateful for that. So this means this means even that you won't miss any of the interviews that we've got coming up or any of the incredible interviews that we've done. On to today's guest, we have a real big hitter with us, somebody from the rock metal side of things, a drummer who has played with, it's like the who's who of hard rock acts, from Ted Nugent to Black Sabbath and some amazing bands and artists in between. It gives me huge pleasure to welcome Mr. Tommy Clufetos. So look, Tommy, thanks so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Fuck you, Maddie. No. My pleasure, buddy.
Thank you.
What's up? How's the weather in England? Is it freezing?
Well, I'm actually just over the border in Wales, actually. But
okay. Yeah, well, then how is the weather in Wales?
It's pretty cold today, actually, but it's been a bit of a mixture of everything. How's it in LA?
It's 80 and sunny, baby. That's why we pay all these taxes over here.
We do pay tax here as well, but maybe not as much.
Well,
as
now,
you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what we pay for. Our roads suck, but we have beautiful weather.
I don't know what to say to that, really. I'll book the ticket. Have you got a spare room?
No, not for you. No,
not for me.
No.
Worth asking. Hey,
you have to have much better looking legs to get in our house.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done. You've already had a go at the bald head, and that's it now. So look.
No, you didn't record that, so I'll do it again later. So, fire away, Maddie. What's up? How can I help you?
Well, look, we're in weird times at the moment. And as you said earlier, it's weird, but it's kind of getting normal now. What have you been up to, Tommy? Have you been doing anything?
I'm just doing what I do. Here's, of course, everybody's asking, what are you doing through this time? To me, this is just like the longest extended period between a tour ever. So I'm doing exactly what I would be doing in between a tour, my best trying to stay ready for when whatever happens. And that's what, to me, being a drummer is all about, being ready, or really anything. If you're an athlete, you got to stay at some kind of level to where when it's time to kick it in, you can just kick it in. And so I'm trying to stay in that zone, and just doing that is, a lot of physical work, especially when it comes to drums. And so I'm playing drums and I'm living my life in a crazy way. It's been a blessing. I have a 3-year-old daughter and I'm married and I have this new family that I love. And I've got to spend this awesome quality time. It's going to be horrible when I leave because when she was maybe 1.5, I was gone a lot, but now she's 3 and she's daddy's girl. So it's good. She's going to be tugging at my leg a lot. And, but I try to look at the positive a little bit. We're going through the same emotional roller coasters that everybody else is, but other than that, just trying to stay ready and play music. I've done, some sessions. I'm not really a top recording at all, but done a few cool, probably come out later. Sure. And I actually made my own record, which I've never done in my life. So that was something kind of interesting. And other than that, just out and picking up toys and, after my daughter nonstop all day.
Yeah, I feel the pain there. I've got a 3-year-old son, so yeah, I'm
oh, do you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. How old are you, Maddie, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 47.
Oh, okay, man. I mean, I don't think I would want to have a daughter later, but because it's just, my daughter is like non-stop, man. She doesn't nap. She doesn't settle down. She's like wired. So I don't know where she gets it from because I'm pretty mellow. Must be her mother. I'll blame it on her mother. But we love her.
Of course. But look,
so that's kind of what I've been doing.
Sure. So you've got a place where you can your space where you can play every day and do, get your practice.
Oh yeah. I'm in here right now. I have like the ultimate rock room. It's the garage, which we fully converted into rock and roll heaven. I can rehearse a full band here and nobody has to bring a thing, and I'm into it. So
Yeah.
drums are right over there. And, before we spoke, I was learning songs that, hopefully I have to play next year or this year.
Well, this year would be good, wouldn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, right.
Fall, maybe. I don't know. When do you think?
I mean, who knows?
Crystal ball.
Knows? I'm not guessing. I'm not saying anything, because everybody goes, oh, nothing's going to happen. Oh, this is going to happen tomorrow. And it's like, nobody knows,
True.
I think there's a lot of red tape to get through, for of course, bringing big concerts back. That's going to be a bit, because there's things with promoters and safety and the government. I mean, it's bigger than just doing a gig.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Maybe you could go play at the bar or something, but I don't really want to do that anyways.
Well, look, Tommy, let's go back a little bit. Where did drums all begin for you then? What sort of age were you when you started?
Well, I'm first of all, I'm from Detroit, and I consider that a very important factor into how I play. And I started playing, let's say, 7 years old. Mm-hmm. My father was a musician, and he started me out, of course, and he had a band in Michigan, and he put me in his band when I was 11. And speaking of bars, we were playing bars. This is back when you did 5 sets. You did 4 sets. And the other guys in the band are 40s and years old, and I'm a little kid. And, that's how I learned, was literally just doing it. I had 10 years of it's all hard work. Yeah. But, I think it's very important. It's a great tool if you're playing 4 or 5 nights a week, and you're playing 4 sets a night at that age, from 10 to 16, 17, that's a lot of drumming. I did a lot of drumming early, and a lot of paying dues. Starting early is a key to success, I think, whether you're an athlete or you want to be a real estate agent. Start when you're young, because you have all this freedom of not having responsibility. You don't have bills, you don't have kids, you don't have this, so you can experiment, and you can buy drums that you need. You can do, you can buy the cymbal that you broke. When you have kids and stuff, that all goes out the window, and there's too much pressure. So I'm very lucky that my dad started me early, and then after that, things started to roll pretty quickly for me, because I had all this experience. Yeah. So when other stuff came around, I was ready. Sure. And having experience early, I think, can help you. Meaning, play with other. It just depends on what you want to do. I never set off to be in a rock band or be a rock star. That was never, that wasn't the goal. I wanted to play drums, and my path, it just happened that I became, I don't like to say this, side guy, because I feel a part of the band when, I'm a band member when I'm in something, but at the end of the day, I'm a paid employee. You know what I mean? I'm not a band member like Chad Smith, like you mentioned, who you were fortunate to have on your show. It's a different thing. Yeah. So I had to navigate through different acts, and it just so happened that my path was playing for different people at different times. So having that different kind of experience of playing with different people has really helped me along the way.
That's the ultimate musical education, though, surely, doing it, and just doing it at such a young age as well. It's got to be.
Yeah, but on top of that, my dad was a big disciplinarian, and I learned a lot of things that it's not about learning how to play the drums. All that stuff's really easy. It's all these other things that you can't get if you don't play gigs. Learning how to follow a front man, learning to read body language, learning when to lead the band, learning when you got to take a musical cue from somebody else. It's not always the drummer. A lot of drummers I see, they just know how to plow through. But, when I play with Ozzy, he doesn't really tell you to speed up or slow down, but if you pick up how he sings, he's going to give you a pocket. So I'm really good at being open. I'm not the best drummer in the world, but at these other things about doing a gig, I feel those are my strong suits. I know how to pick up on these little things that aren't really musical things, but they are big musical things, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're, you know, they're having your radar open to pick up, how is he feeling tonight? You know?
Yeah.
And if you can do that, if you can feel that, like what they're throwing out without them speaking, that's a great tool to have.
Sure.
And I think I was blessed with a set of ears, and I was blessed with a mind that lends itself to that. Because I know not everybody has those tools. And I was, you know, what I lack in some of my drumming skills, I make up for in those kind of areas.
Sure. And I guess that's going to set you apart from somebody else. You know, if you had two guys of equal ability, drumming wise, going for the job's going to be yours. If, you know, it's like a telepathic thing, isn't it?
Well, again, I mean, I'm just saying that I feel that that's maybe something that makes up for some of my lacking. It's something that I think will keep you on the gig more so maybe than get the gig. Because when you're up there every night, and let's say you're playing different rooms, you're in an arena, and this one's really boomy, and you know how to suck those guys in to move forward and bring everybody together through your drumming. That's a powerful thing. And you can get them through those tough nights.
Sure.
If you can do those kind of things, I think you'll keep your gigs, which is very important. It's not easy to get a gig, but it's hard to make somebody go, fuck, I'm glad he was up there last night. You know, that's what I want to do. I want to be the guy who's going to go, no matter what, you know, if you're playing basketball, give me the ball when we got 2 seconds left, because I'm going to put it in the bucket.
Yeah.
That's the attitude I have. I'm up for the challenge because I come in here and I do all my homework, hundreds and hundreds of hours beforehand. So when I get on that bandstand, something can go wrong and I can fix it.
Sure.
Because when you know music and you dig into the music, you know, it's like, you know, anything. There's a plumber and there's a leak that just popped up. You've done it so many times, you know exactly how to fix it and take care of business.
Sure. Can I just pick up on something that you've said then? And you said if it's a boomy room, you know, doing the kind of venues and the kind of gigs with the kind of equipment you have, do you still get that? Oh, this is not a great sounding room. Can you still get that, even with monitors and everything?
Absolutely, all the time. Absolutely.
So gear can't overcome a boomy room. It's as simple as that.
Well, I mean, imagine if you had shitty gear in a boomy room in a big tin can. You know, you may be playing like the Tacoma Dome. I every time I go in there, I go, oh, this place is gonna be fucking boomy. I don't mean to sound like a dick. Oh, you're playing the Tacoma Dome, but every time I walk in there, it's just a big tin can, and it's boomy as all hell. And you go, yeah, I've played there before. I know I gotta rein the guys in and be aware and be, you know, I'm always alert, but it's still a big tin can and you got great monitors and stuff, but you know, you're hearing the front of house bouncing back and you know, all these different things. If you don't have the experience to deal with a high school auditorium when it was boomy, or a theater that was boomy, or a barn that was boomy, and you go step up to step up to step up, and you get to that arena, you know, if you're just some pop guy that happened to get a little gig and then you're all playing, and you know, rock and roll is different than the pop stuff. I'm not wearing in-ears, man. I'm not, no, I got wedges blasting me, you know. So you got to deal with that.
Sure.
And that's, you know, I've come up from, I've played to 0 people, 2 people, 200, 2,000, 20,000, 200,000. And just having the experience, like I spoke about, is why I'm comfortable in those situations. It's not that I'm better than anybody else, but I have done a lot of work to give me the experience.
Sure. Oh, that's interesting. No, it's because obviously, you know, us mere mortals, we don't generally sit the side of the stage that you do and witness these things. So it's nice to hear about things like that, you know. So it's interesting.
Well, I mean, I don't think a lot of, you know, we're talking drums right
Yeah,
now,
of course.
right? And I hate talking drums. You know why? Because nobody really discusses things that are actually important. When it comes to, and I'm not knocking anybody, but at the bottom line, when it comes to playing with a band, to me, this is my opinion, it's a drummer's job to be the glue up there.
Yeah.
You are the glue. You're supposed to be playing music and see, I want to be a supportive drummer. I want to be the guy back there that when those three guys or whoever it is in front of me are playing, they are confident to go play music.
Sure.
When you have a weak drummer back there, it makes everybody tense, and it is just, you know, they have a weight on their shoulders that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So, you know, I always hear about all these beats and learn this and do this. 95% of that stuff is bullshit.
Yeah, agree.
If you can, you know, if you can keep, it's all fine and dandy, but you got to be able to keep a beat, and you got to be able to keep that band together at the, whether it's jazz or it's rock or it's reggae or it's blues or it's techno or whatever you play, you got to keep it there. So
sounds like solid advice to me. I mean, as you say, it's like having a poor drummer. It's like having a house without foundations, isn't it? You know, it's going to fall.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just anything. You want to be confident in who you're hiring. You hire a lawyer, you want to know that he's going to read that contract, and he says, yes, you're all good, sign it. Okay. Versus, wait. What did you just say? It just makes no sense, you know, and then you question, and then you're like in a worse situation. It's anything.
Sure.
So just know your gig and know what you're there for. Yeah. And I would have to say 95% of the time at the end of the day, people want, whether it's Madonna or Bruno Mars or Ozzy or Britney Spears or Miley Cyrus, they want somebody who's going to let them sing.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally get you there. Well, look, let's just jump back to your early years. Who were you listening to? What kind of music were you into at that point? Were you into the heavier stuff? I
have a different definition of what heavy is than heavy. To me, Muddy Waters is heavy. When I put on Muddy Waters and I hear down, 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 and I hear that drummer and he's playing with brushes, I mean, that is the heaviest damn groove there is. So, I mean, I'll go back to my dad. I was raised on roots rock. I was raised on Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis and Fats Domino and blues guys. I love Elmore. I mean, we would play a gig, and every night you tear down the PA, you take down your drums. We're driving home. It's snowing. And every night at 3:00, we'd be driving home. And there was a blues program in Detroit on WDET. And the guy's name was the Fabulous Coachman. And he had this blues show, some black guy playing killer blues. And every night I'd be falling asleep, and it was 3:00, and he would always play, it's 3:00 in the morning, and I got the blues in my bedroom. So I'd be listening to the blues the whole way home at 12 years old. And I just had a different, so to me, that stuff's heavy. When I listen to Elmore James playing, the rhythm of it is heavy. They knew how to put a pocket in there. So, I mean, and I'm from Detroit. I listen to a lot of Bob Seger music and Ted Nugent, and who I ended up playing for. Cool. You know, I had my own stuff when I was a kid that I was into, but it started so early for me doing it that I didn't get too sucked into the drumming thing, if you know what I mean. I got sucked into I wanted to be a good drummer in a band. Yeah. And at a young stage, I remember, here's an important thing that I think, you know, musicians were supposed to be a supportive community and all this kind of stuff, but it always doesn't work that way. I've always played the way that anybody who's seen me play recently has played. Even when I was 12 years old, I had the thing, I had that rock thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody would tell me, oh, you can't play that way. Oh, you can't hit the cymbals that way. You got to hit them like, they always tell you got to hit your cymbals like a swish. Bullshit. It's bullshit. If you know something, and I go, well, when I watch my favorite guys or the attitude, it sure feels right when I'm playing that way. So I was very conscious to not let other people steer me a different way than what felt right to me. So if you're a young guy, a lot of the times people are going to try to tell you, you can't do it that way.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody knows and you respect them and they can give you a real criticism, you also have to take that in. Mm-hmm. But don't let somebody steer you from what you feel in your gut is the right thing. And it's usually out of jealousy, of course. You can't play that way. You can't do this. You can't play like that. And I go, that's the reason I have any gig that I have is because I play that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank God I'm not listening to them because I'd be playing in some wedding band, And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to play on arenas from the time I was a little kid. I wanted to be a rock and roll mother. That's what I wanted.
You got it.
Yeah.
So, obviously you mentioned Ted Nugent there, one of the best rock voices ever has been, as far as I'm aware. How did that gig come about for you?
Before Ted, let me just mention, I played for this guy out of Detroit called Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels.
Yeah.
Before Ted. So I was playing with Mitch Ryder, and then getting the Ted Nugent gig goes back to me playing in my father's band. Mm-hmm. We played a private party, and the saxophone player, God rest his soul, he just passed away a few months ago, Alto Reed, was at a private party that I played. And he saw me play, and I think he noticed something. He started calling me for local gigs he would have, and he would have the Detroit All-Stars guys or whatever it may be, and he would be the band guy. And one day he called me, he said, Tommy, we're going to go do a few songs in the studio, and it's for a movie, and Ted Nugent is going to play, and I want you to play drums. And I was like 20 at the time. Sure. And a bell went off, and it went ding, 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 ding. This is the shot.
Yeah.
This is my shot. So I went in the studio. It was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we just went to the studio, and there was Ted. And we just wrote the songs right there. And I kind of, I was just quiet and watching. And basically the gig came out of that. The next day, or by the time I got home, or maybe the next morning, I checked. I think I gave Ted a business card with my telephone number.
Yeah, sure.
And it had my email on there. And the next morning, or by the time I got home, there was an email from him. Hey, Tommy, very nice, complimentary, blah, 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 blah. You should learn these songs. He gave me 35 songs to learn.
Yeah.
Just you should learn these songs because they'd be good for you. And in case the dream ever arrives. And this is before there was YouTube or anything on your phone. It was dial-up internet at that time. I drove straight to the record store. I spent about $150 on CDs. You couldn't get one song. You had to buy all of them. And I learned every song. And thank God I did. Thank God I go, well, he's emailing me for a reason. I learned every song. And then a few days later, he said, how's it coming with those songs? I said, great. And he invited me out to his house to have it was just me and him. He put a 412 facing my face. He didn't even sing. Right. No microphone, no nothing, just me and him. And his song, if there's no bass player, it's hard to hear the chord changes, right?
Sure.
Because he's just soloing. So where the hell are we? but I learned the song so good that I knew where we were in Stranglehold, and I knew where we were in whatever it was, just what the doctor ordered. And then I got to play with them out of that. So it's just, you got to be ready, every step. I was ready to go play in the studio with Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
I was ready to learn the songs. I was ready to put in the work. I knew how to do it, because previously when I played in my dad's group, he would back all different kinds of acts, like kind of do these oldies review kind of shows. And you'd have to play with 5, 6, 7 acts in a show.
Sure.
So as a young kid, when a different act and they want it this way, and you can pick up, it's all picking up, like all these little tools have added up. So when I was ready when I met Ted, I was ready for that. But being ready came through all those other gigs.
Sure.
And all those other situations that a lot of drummers would go, oh, I'm not playing that old 50s music. Oh, I'm not playing. But you know what all these guys I play for? They like all that old 50s music because that's what they grew up on.
Of course.
So I know a lot more about their influences than a lot of people who are maybe older and wiser than me. Knowing music and knowing song structures and knowing tunes and knowing where their style came from is a big part of it.
Sure. So you had quite a while with Ted Nugent, didn't you? You did a couple of albums as well.
I did 2 albums with him. I was only with Ted. It seems like I was with him a long time, but I think tops it was 2.5, 3 years.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like I was with him a long time. I mean, actually, I still talk to Ted. I'm still in contact with him. He heard, like I mentioned, I did my own record, and he heard the song that I put out, and he called me right away, and he just congratulated me. He really dug it. So he's just one of those guys that are always supportive and always been in my corner.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about your own record. Did you write the stuff? Did you write your own stuff, or did you play a lot of it yourself?
I have never written a song in my life. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote all the songs on this album. So I didn't know. Somebody said, do you want to make a record? Well, I always, oh, we want you to play on this record, get these offers. We want you to play on the record with this guy, and this guy, a so-called bullshit supergroup, let's say. And that just doesn't, I have no use for it because it's not really a thing. It's not my thing. Yeah. To me, it doesn't really sound like a band whenever it's like that. And I go, you know what? Why don't I just do one on my own? And okay. And I go, well, how the hell am I going to do this? So never writing a song before, never writing lyrics before, I ended up writing 12 songs, and I would just come right in here with musicians, and I'd sing the parts that I heard in my head, and we jam things out. And eventually a whole 12 songs happened. And, a lot of people think that drummers, well, I mentioned to maybe 2, 3, or 4 people, I'm doing an album. And you kind of know, oh, haha, that's cute. Oh, that's cute, right? Yeah, because they don't think a drummer can do that. They don't think a drummer can arrange, or a drummer can think musically. But it was almost like a little experiment for me, because I had this time, and I go, it's something I've never done, and I'm not going to be afraid of the challenge. And I'll be honest with you, I'm really happy with it, how it came out. It sounds like a rock band. And the way that I did it, if I was going to make my own record, it was going to be my way. Sure. So my way was going to be like, what's my favorite records? All my favorite records are bands like First Records, when they have no money and they just go in and they jam it out. And they don't necessarily sound highly produced, but that's what makes them cool. The instruments sound like instruments, and a band is like just playing together in a room. So we rehearsed here in my little rehearsal studio, blaring, and I go, man, this feels so good here. This is what I want to do in the studio. So we set up exactly the same way, no click track, No, we didn't even wear headphones.
Wow.
So we just played 100% live. Now, that's a lot more work when you want to get the take right. I didn't want any punching in. I didn't want any of that. We were going to get the song from the start to the finish. And all the mics, the amps are bleeding all into one big thing to make it sound like a rock band. Yeah. So I'm very happy with how it came out.
Sure.
And I'm really happy with the songs. I go, that's pretty good. So I was proud of myself for that, and I'm glad I took the challenge.
Sure.
And I think people will be pleasantly surprised. It's a rock record. I just wanted to make a cool little rock record and then see what happened. Yeah. And I was happy with what happened.
It's unheard of recording like that these days, especially without headphones.
I mean, you know what? I hate wearing headphones. I hate wearing in-ears. And I go, what? You know, it's always, I can never hear good with headphones. It's just, I play louder. So it's like everything ends up blaring and you can't really feel what's really coming from the amp. You can't really feel your drums properly. But when I'm playing and we're just playing, you're free. So I was willing to sacrifice a little of the sound aspect to get more of the performance out. Everybody plays better when they're not wearing headphones and they're not connected to another thing. So to me, I was like, what's the most important thing? Getting the playing on there. Sure. And that really came out. The band sounds awesome and it's tight and it grooves and it rocks and it's sexy. And so that's what it is.
Cool. So is it out yet, or is it? It's going
to be out in May. There's a first song called "Got to Play Some Rock and Roll" that's out, and there's a video that's out, and the band is called Tommy's Rock Trip. So they can check that out, and it's out there. But the album will be out in May, and I think two more singles before that.
Amazing. But
it's just a little fun thing for me to do to pass the time, and we'll see what comes. Nothing may come out of it, or something may come out of it.
Sure. You got to be in it to win it, as they say. Great.
Yeah, or not. Either way. It's just, I have a drumming career, and I made a cool rock record. I recorded a song for my wife, and I recorded a song for my daughter. And my daughter loves the song. And I think when she's 30 years old and maybe getting married, and she goes, my daddy recorded this song for me. And that's always going to be my gift to her. So just to be able to do that and be proud of what I made for them, that's kind of a big reason why I did it.
Perfect.
I'm not going to be a rock star, and it's not Sgt. Pepper's. So it's my little love letter gift to them in a way.
I think that's fantastic. I really do. And it's like a legacy. It's always going to be there, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, on the tune that's for my daughter has a little cameo on it. I play on it, and my dad plays saxophone on it. So it's 3 generations of Clufetos on there.
Amazing.
So it's cool stuff.
Well, look, I'd like to shoot forward a bit. I know you did some things with Alice Cooper as well, but I'd like to sort of jump a little bit further forward to Rob Zombie.
Go ahead, jump away.
That gig, I mean, that must have been a great gig. I don't know if you were a fan of Rob at the time. Did you take over from John? Would you have been took over from John Tempesta at that point?
Yeah, I want to say took over. I know Zombie kind of cleaned house and he didn't have a band at the time.
Sure.
I came in after him.
Yeah,
no, I know what you mean. But other drummers don't like when you say you took over for him, because they get all, they get all pissed.
Yeah.
So I try to clarify, but yes, I did. Yeah, was I a fan? Yes. And all my gigs have been great. I love playing with Ted Nugent. I loved it. I love playing with Alice Cooper. I loved it. Love playing with Rob Zombie. And Rob, at the time, Rob was putting together a new band. And the new band eventually was me on drums, John Five on guitar, and Blasco on bass. And we were just going to play an Ozfest, and maybe that was going to be it. But I ended up with Rob for about 5 years. And Rob's a total professional. He knows how to put together a show, and he has a kick-ass voice that's very original and rhythmic. And he also has a great ear for music. You know, I think he liked my style of drumming because I knew how to stay out of the way.
Sure.
I knew when to step forward and stay out of the way, you know, because none of these guys want a drumistic kind of guy. Mm-hmm. There's a way to be cool with your drumming, but not like drumistic, if that makes a way.
It does.
You know what I mean? Mm. So, and I think he liked that about me because most drummers are drumistic. Sure. You know, it's like, and that doesn't fit into music properly. You know, it always sounds disjointed.
Yeah, totally get you. Totally get you.
Yeah.
But I mean, Educated Horses, great album, incredible album. But I'm going to jump forward to Hellbilly Deluxe 2, which I just think, the production on that album is phenomenal. The drum sounds, everything. But it's The Man Who Laughs, isn't it? Which is the last track on that album.
I don't remember, but refresh my memory.
The one with, well, it's basically a 9-minute epic with the most beautiful, incredible. Would you call it a drum solo? It's just, it's not.
Oh yeah, well, I guess Rob wanted like an In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida kind of bassy solo. And I just did that in one take, you know, kind of like Ringo, you know, meets In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, sure, mixed with Ginger Baker. And he, you know, I was recording it and he just said, keep going. So I just kept going and that's what came out of it.
That's it, because it's such a dynamic performance, that as well. There's so much light and shade. It's lovely. It really is.
I mean, thank you. You know, a recorded drum solo is odd for me. I'm glad Rob wanted me to do it. It was cool at the time. I mean, maybe sometimes years go by and people think, you know, people's ears catch up to things. So Rob knows how to make great records, and it was great to be able to play on his stuff. Yeah. You know, because he has this power thing, that 4 on the floor thing that he wants to a lot of his stuff, and I'm pretty good at that.
His stuff, it just kind of, it draws you in almost. It pulls you in. It's like
he has a knack for his style, man. All these guys, he really has a style with his voice, and he takes these simple hypnotic things, and with his rhythmic voice, you know, it works. And he's really catchy with his voice.
Sure.
He knows how to make little simple things very hooky.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, and then I appreciate we're jumping around a little bit here, but from Rob Zombie to possibly, I don't know, one of the best gigs you could ever wish to have, Black Sabbath came calling. How did that feel when you?
Well, in between, it was started playing with Ozzy.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I see. So that would have been pre-2012? Was that 2012?
With Ozzy?
Yeah.
That with Ozzy was 2010.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
not that it matters, but
no. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, Ozzy must be. I mean, I'm an Ozzy fan. I'm a Black Sabbath fan. So, you know, both wonderful gigs with one, just incredible.
Absolutely.
So was Ozzy must be a great gig to do anyway. I mean, I've spoken to a few other drummers who've played with Ozzy at various times here and there, and you know, you only hear good things ever about Ozzy.
Ozzy is a rock and roller, man. He's a real rock and roller. He wants it raw. He wants you to get up there and kick him in the ass. And I do that every night I've gone on stage. I've done that. And he's very smart. Ozzy is very smart about music. He's very clever. He's very talented. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that because he's such a big personality that, listen, it is no mistake that he has had so many hit songs, so many hit records, so many great bands, so many sold out tours. And, you know, when you're, you know, they always, if you look back in history, they always make people who are showmen or entertainers or have that other side of them other than just standing there, as they make him out to kind of, well, he's not that good. You know, whether it was Louis Armstrong, they said he wasn't that great at the time because he was, you know, an entertainer and he smiled. And the bebop guys made fun of him because he played the melody. But they're, you know, they're all full of shit and they're all stupid. He was the greatest trumpeter to ever live in the world that will ever be. You know, they made fun of Elvis. They made fun of all the greats. They try to knock you down. And Ozzy is one of those greats. As much as he is charismatic, as much as he is an entertainer, he is that much, if not more, musically gifted and talented. And the melodies that he comes up with, it's undeniable. And when he opens his mouth, there is nobody else in the world who can sound like him. No. Nobody.
No.
When I hear somebody else singing an Ozzy song, I go, what? Even if they're great singers, it just doesn't work. You know?
That's the truth. You know, I'm so glad you said all this stuff because it's stuff I think, and you've stamped it, which is great.
Even people think they're threatened by him because he's so great. You know, when you suck, people are going to say you suck, right? Oh, you suck. Okay, you suck. When you're great at what you do, you're threatening a lot of people because you have something that they can never have. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So they say you suck, or they try to take something away from it. It's when you're in the middle that you get along with everybody and it's all good. So watch out for that. Watch out. If you're suck, probably quit. But if people are like, you know, when you're in the middle and everybody's cool with you and you don't ruffle any feathers, you know, get ready for the wedding band, just basically what I'm saying.
Sure.
Which is fine too. That's fine also.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like when people are great at something, I like to tell people. I really do, you know. And also when I hear somebody, oh, you got to hear this. Everybody, you know, it's easy to be a flavor of the month, whether it's drummers or a singer. Oh, this guy's great. Oh, that guy's great. I think the word great is thrown around very loosely now. What I think great is Louis Armstrong, is Jimi Hendrix, is Ozzy Osbourne, is Tony Iommi, is Billie Holiday, is Elmore James. You know, that's great.
Sure.
You know, not pretty good. You know, pretty good is whatever, you know. So when I get on stage, I am aiming to be great. Sure. I want to make an impact up there, you know, and that's not by jamming over everybody, but it's just, I want to be one of those guys. So I pay attention, not just to drummers. I pay attention to how did Louis Armstrong phrase his horn? How did Chuck Berry pace his set? How did he phrase his solos? How did they map them out? How did they go with it? How were they loose? How were they, you know, when you watch these old guys, Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis, they would sometimes, let's say they're playing a 75-minute set, 45 minutes of it, you may be going, what the fuck is going on? I remember my dad taking me to see Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry at the Fox Theater in Detroit, Michigan. And Jerry Lee Lewis was drunk and he's playing like, you know, they want to hear Great Balls of Fire. They want to hear a whole lot of shit, but he's playing country ballads and people are getting up and walking around. And it's like, I mean, I was little, but I remember this, you know, I was maybe 8 years old or something, or 9, but I remember going, and then the last 20 minutes, he starts it. And then it's a full-on frenzy. Yeah. So you got to know how to sometimes hold back and save a little in the gas tank. You know what I mean? And these little tricks, you know, I've seen Ozzy on stage do things like that where you go, he's one of the greats, man. They know the tricks. They know it's not a trick. It's being in the moment. It's Muhammad Ali standing against the ropes and letting the other guy punch his guts out till he wears himself out and he's just waiting to come back at you. These are the things that make a good musician. These are the things that make a good rock and roller. It's not how you play an ostinato between this or playing in 5. Get out of here with all that stuff. You know what I mean? I'll leave that to you drum clinicians. Go play a clinic in front of 30 people at a music store, which is also fine. But I don't want kids to get so steered from what playing music is all about. Yeah. You know, it kind of upsets me. I put on these drum things and it pops up on your YouTube and it's just drummers playing a bunch of crap, a bunch of syrup, bunch of leaky syrup out of their instruments. And I'm going, they get fired from my gig and kids watch this stuff. And everybody's just posting these YouTube videos and they're so used to playing with themselves in their bedroom and learning. Yeah, they may be able to play Stevie Ray Vaughan's licks note for note, but when it gets into jamming in a room, they're lost. They don't know how to end a song. They don't know changes to a simple blues. Yeah. But they learned the Stevie Ray Vaughan's song perfect, but there's no translation into playing music. You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
I just went off on a rant, but
you have a passion for this, don't you? You really do.
Well, absolutely, because it's my life.
Yeah.
It's my life. It's how I support my family. It's what I love. It's who I am. And if you don't have more passion than me, you ain't going to get past me. It's a tough one.
It's great to hear.
You have got to be a lifer to do this, because music business is a son of a bitch, man. You know, it is a son of a bitch. I don't care who you are. If you are in it and you've been in it for a while, it's this, and then it's this, and then it's this. You know, I've had with this whole thing probably the toughest 2 years in my musical life. But you know what? I've survived it. And I see the cloud parting and I see the sunshine, and I knew how to get through it. You know, because the good thing about rock and roll, especially in a time like this, it prepares you for the worst. Tour ends, money stops. Bottom line, 99% of the time. You know what I mean? Unless you're in a fortunate situation, you know, not everybody's in the Foo Fighters, you know? So you've got to learn to survive. So when the quarantine came up, I'm already prepared for the end of the world. You know, because we live that way in my household to a certain extent. You know, my wife doesn't go buying Gucci purses because that's not what we find important, you know.
Do you know what? It's incredible to hear this. It really is. I'm enjoying this because it's the truth. It's a real lesson, isn't it? You know, as far as I can.
But through music, I've learned so much about life. You know, through music and playing drums and dedicating myself since I was a little boy. When you give yourself to something, you learn. You know, through music, I've met great friends. I've met my wife through music. I learned how to treat my wife through music. I was ready to have a child through music, meaning I had money saved and I had cars paid off, and I learned these things through music, that you better get ready for a bumpy ride. And I learned through music that step by step, you know, don't always go through for the big thing, because that's a hard fall some of the time. It's taught me so much about just how to conduct my life, but music has taught me so much that, you know, being able to think in the long run is a big part of being successful in music, because it's a long game. You know what I mean? At least for me, it's going to be a lifelong thing, and it has been. So you really kind of got to learn to look ahead, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And plan the best you can. But you also have to be ready to pivot at any moment.
It's just incredible hearing this, because this is the first conversation I've had where this has come up, really, you know, and it's really interesting. And I think it's good and important for people to hear who will be watching this, who are thinking, you know, this is where I want to go. And it's not always it's not always sugar, is it?
No, I mean, but that's the fun part. The fun part is striving and the journey to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And when you reach that goal, it's sweeter.
Sure. Yeah.
If I didn't travel in station wagons and vans and sleep on rolls of duct tape for pillows, I would never appreciate flying on a jet and sleeping in a Four Seasons bed.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, look, we can't go, Tommy, without talking about Black Sabbath, because we just can't. I couldn't allow it. I just couldn't. Obviously, so the Black Sabbath thing, I guess, came largely through Ozzy, who was obviously happy with the way you were playing. You were the obvious guy for the job. Obviously, Bill had health problems and issues, and
I don't know if I was the obvious guy for the job, because I know that there was other guys that were possibly going to get the job.
Sure.
But somehow, by the grace of God, it ended up that I ended up doing the gigs. And that it worked out for me in that area.
Sure.
I was happy to do the tours, and I was very proud of how I played on the tours. And that was it. It was a complete honor and a pleasure, not just because it was Black Sabbath. It's because those three guys, they're a unit up there, and they're a cohesive thing. When they walk off stage, everybody may have their differences, but when they came to going on stage, those three guys, and myself included, we went up there with the attitude of kill. And it's a different thing when there's all four people doing that.
Yeah.
It's always usually one guy, the guitar player, wants to go do his thing, and it's about him or this guy or that guy. But those guys are so great because they shut out the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And they play the gig, and it's all about the music. Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and I'm lumping myself into that because I was on stage and I did the job.
And the thing is, I mean, the songs, that there's such incredible songs to play. I mean, there's no bad Sabbath songs that I can recall anyway. Do you have I have to ask, I know it's a corny question to ask. What do you have a favorite Sabbath song to play?
No, I never have a favorite. I just want to play the most perfect gig I can, and I want those guys to look back at me and go, I'm glad we have him with us. That was my goal. Sure. Because it was a sticky situation. I was the guy who wasn't the original guy. Yeah, of course. And I understand people's perspective. Well, why isn't the other guy? And why? But a lot of factors come into play of going on tour and being up there.
Yeah, of course.
In order to combat those things, in order to do that, I had to make myself fit in without trying to overfit in. Sure. I wanted to be the band's anchor up there and do justice. So people came to the show and they had no idea that it wasn't the original guy. They're just so happy to hear the tunes and recreate and feel the power of that band, that they're just in rock and roll ecstasy. I wanted to come up to their level so nobody could walk out of that gig and go, well, I wish it was the other guy. Sure. I want to go, did you see that guy? Who was that? Who was that guy? Because I know still I don't do a lot of interviews and I'm not interested in, hey, look at me. I like to go home after a gig and shut up.
Sure.
But when I'm on that stage, I want people to go, holy shit. That's what I want. And then it's straight to the shower and rinse off and on to the next one.
Yeah, sure.
And I feel that I did that. I feel I was very proud. I did my homework and I played as a group with those guys.
Sure.
And I think I did justice to Bill Ward's drumming the best that I could.
Yep.
I studied his drumming. He has a very unique way of playing, and I studied that. I also did it my own way because I didn't want to, there's certain things that if you're copying something that isn't in your heart, it doesn't come out right. So I got the unorthodox. Well, I tried to grasp the unorthodox style that made him him. That was Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, Bill Ward. I had to bring that in with those three guys.
Sure.
That counterpoint of their sound.
Well, and of course, to kind of remember all this, you've got the DVD and the album as well from 2017, which captures it. I'm not always a fan of live albums, but that one is particularly great.
Yeah, it's really good, but it doesn't. I probably, if I listen to it now, but I know when I was up there, the extra power that actually came out, because I can listen to those songs and I listen to them like a live thing from YouTube that you can hear everything, but sometimes on a recording it doesn't come through the same way, because sometimes now I've noticed everybody's trying to make every instrument so big sounding that sometimes the subtlety of things get lost too. I'm not saying I'm very subtle, but if you were in that concert, you got your face ripped off. That I know we melted faces. Sure.
Well, I can't see anywhere. We can't go anywhere from this now. This is the pinnacle for me.
Who is your audience for drummers, right? Yeah, I hope if you're a younger drummer, if you hear me babble about shit, it's just remember who you are, know what you're getting into before you get into it. There's a lot of different things. It's not just playing drums. In order to be a musician, you kind of got to be a businessman and understand business. You got to have very thick skin, and you've got to be willing to do the work and put the time in. And I hope that if you're a young musician, if you're listening to me, you're going, that's me. And it gives you a little hope that you have the fire in your belly to do what it takes, because that fire in your belly will overcome any shortcomings musically that you have, because there's a lot of clubs in the music business. There's a lot of different reasons things happen. And you can be a person that blames not getting where you want on that, or you can be the kind of person that I try to take the attitude of, well, yeah, there's a lot of clubs and there's a lot of this and there's a lot of that, but I've got to be so good that at the end of the day, it's going to work out for me anyways. And being able to say that means that I just jammed on this drum kit for 2 hours every day for the rest of my life since I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
Goodbye, guys. See you later. Bye.
Where else can we go? Tommy, thank you so much. That was an incredible, an hour. We've been an hour, and
would you say, Maddie, it was your best interview you've done yet?
Without doubt.
Hey!
No question.
Yeah!
No question. Tommy, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure talking to you. We'll see you when we come out your way, when this whole thing clears up and people are going to be foaming at the mouth to see music.
Let's hope so. Before we go, big thank you to Mr. Steve Barney for setting this up as well. Our mutual
Barney,
friend.
you prick! Look, you just wasted an hour of my time. I got Netflix I gotta watch. Hey, thanks so much, guys. All the best to everybody out there. Thank you.
Tommy, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye.